What is going on, guys? My name is Wheelman, and today I've got a topical commentary for you guys. I haven't done one of these in a while. It's weird. It's been mostly live stuff recently, some kind of funny moments compilations and things like that. I've been working on script writing, actually, which I haven't done in a long time, and putting together some stuff that's actually written down beforehand and instead of off the cuff or just from a couple of notes or ideas, which is usually how I do things when they're pre-recorded as opposed to live things like this right now. Is just kind of off the cuff what I'm thinking at the moment. But what I wanted to talk about today is, as I'm sitting here, Halo 5 has been announced. This was earlier today, I believe, or at some point last night, some point while I was still sleeping. Halo 5 was announced, Guardians, and of course everybody's getting super excited, and there's a lot of hype going on, and there's slowly bits and pieces of information are coming out. And this is sort of what I've noticed is that the focus is, at least for, I predict this will go on for the next week to 2 weeks, maybe, probably within a week and a half or so. It'll die down a little bit. But what I've noticed is that it has shifted the focus away from Destiny finally, and I think that's interesting because of the level of attention that Destiny's been getting over the past months in the gaming industry, and it got me to thinking about theming and just the way that companies now, the ideas for storylines that companies are relying on these days. And the other tie-in that's going to come into this commentary is Watch Dogs, and I'll get to that in a minute. Super excited for Watch Dogs. But the idea being that there's been a trend in the gaming industry, I don't want to just say recently because this has been a thing that's been going on, it's been a running theme for years already, but the idea being that it's now getting tired, sort of. I think it's been played out too many times already. And that's the sort of, you are the sole guardian or savior of humanity from, usually it's an impending alien attack or an ongoing alien war with humanity where they're trying to exterminate us for, in the case of the Halo franchise, reasons having to do with religious zealotry or harvesting Earth's resources and exterminating humanity in the process, or whatever it may be. Or in the case of Destiny so far, for reasons unknown, the fact is that you are the hero, rise to the occasion, become the hero, become the one last bastion for humanity's salvation. And I think that's just a tired plot point. I think that's a very played out idea for a storyline of a game. And to me, personally, storyline is probably the most important element of a game, and there are a lot of things that tie into that. The primary one, again, personally, for me, this is my experience with gaming, but character investment, how much I care about the character that I'm being made to play as, because as we know in games, either there's a custom character creator in which you get to create your own character, whether it's in completely like Skyrim or something like that, where you get to completely customize the look, but the story's kind of set out in front of you as to who you are, or whether you get to define your own choices, at least in some respects, like Mass Effect, or whether there's a character like in the upcoming Watch Dogs, or like in the Halo games, in which you're given the character both aesthetically and character-wise in the sense of how they are as a person, or whatever they are, and you are given this set of attributes to work with. And so I think regardless of what kind of experience that is, ranging from Halo to Destiny, I find that it's a tired plot point to have you be the sole savior of humanity. That's why, and this is where Watch Dogs comes in, that's why I'm really excited for new games like Watch Dogs. Because it's an innovative storyline, it's a brand new concept, it's the idea that it's more subtle. I think that's a lot of what I like about it, is that it's not totally dependent on bang bang action, like Michael Bay giant explosions all the time and that sort of thing. It's not constantly using as a crutch the idea that this is the final fight, the epic final battle, because when you do that too much, it loses its punch, it loses its sort of impact, I find, on me at least. And please feel free to leave a comment below if you agree or disagree. That I'm interested in hearing people's opinions on this, but it loses some of the impact that it could have when it's just done over and over and over again, that this is the fight, well, there can only be so many of the epic final battle, so I think this ties into the importance of putting a series or a franchise to rest, or a storyline to rest when it's time to put it to rest. And personally, I think as hyped as people are for Halo 5, and I'm not saying the storyline for Halo 4 was bad by any stretch, I'm saying that it wasn't, I think it ruined a lot of the immersion for me when I played through the Halo 4, campaign, the storyline, which I only played through once. I only was motivated to play through it one time, whereas the other games I've played through multiple times, both alone and through co-op modes and things like that. But I think it took me out of the experience fairly constantly, fairly consistently, because I was constantly thinking of how the game was constructed in order to extend the life of the series, the life of the franchise, where things were put in place or stretched a little bit solely for the purpose of sort of reviving it and giving it this new life, which is not inherently a bad thing. I just think that it ruins the illusion. It breaks the sort of illusion of being being enveloped in the world, being a part of, immersed. It breaks the immersion is the word I'm looking for. And so I think that's part of the danger. Now, with an upcoming game like Watch Dogs, and again, this sort of thing could get played out if it becomes super popular, which I don't anticipate it becoming, but who knows, in the sense that it's, the surveillance, and there is some kind of, there's, gunfire and car chase sequences and the action and things like that, and there is the open world element to it also, which I find interesting. But I think it's a largely story-driven game where it's not just constant explosions and gunfire and let's see how we can one-up ourselves in this game or one-up the next game, or the Call of Duty storylines trying to one-up themselves. And they do that too, where it's kind of like this is the fight and it's every time, and I think that's why it kind of loses its impactfulness on the consumer. And obviously not every consumer, because it's a multi-billion-dollar franchise at this point, and there are a lot of people who don't care. It's not important to them to have that sort of, I guess, integrity of the story. And that's fine. That's not a bad thing necessarily, inherently. It's just sort of what you prefer. What about the games you care about? Those are likely people who care more about gameplay or their experience in online multiplayer matches or things like that. And I care about that stuff too. I'm just more of a story-driven person than anything. And so when it comes to gaming, so that's very important to me. So leave your thoughts in the comments below on new Halo, Guardians apparently, Halo 5. Obviously we know next to nothing about it so far, but yeah, I'm interested in what you guys are thinking in terms of that, in terms of Destiny, and looking into the future, how many more of the final battle are you willing to take place in? Is it just, are you willing to just do that as a gaming sort of trope forever? Or is it, at what point would you want the gaming industry at large, or at least games that you would like to play, to turn away from that sort of idea and maybe look at something else, maybe look at something a little more subtle, and look into ideas that aren't constantly just the final stand for humanity. So do let me know. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Have an awesome day.